Hello and welcome to Friends of the Show, Clip Show Holiday Special number 4, episode number 4, the final in the series of episodes where I, your host, Stephen W. Skinner, and a very special co-host, go back and listen to clips from past episodes and catch up. My co-host this week is none other than fellow podcaster and sweet muffin, Mark McGark, a.k.a. @Markedly on Twitter, one of the nicest and funniest people around with a silky smooth voice we're all about to enjoy. Welcome, Mark.
Hey, Stephen.
So, here we are, back again on the mics.
Yeah, what a delight to hear your lovely voice again, my friend.
You know, the feeling is mutual. You got just that sweet voice that people love to hear, and I guess that's one of the reasons why you decided to pick up the mics and record your own podcast, Making Friends with Mark McGark.
Putting out episodes once every 9.5 months, I think is our average.
It's a solid release schedule. You keep the people wanting more, like me. I'm clamoring. You know I'm clamoring. Been clamoring for episodes, and I think you got us right where you want us.
Yeah. No, when I see you, I think, ooh, that man, he's a clamoring.
He's clamoring. I let you know about my clamoring.
Yeah, listen, the whole town knows about the clamoring. All right, we're well aware.
At this point, the clamoring is not a secret, but yeah, people love it. And if you haven't heard it, go back and listen to the bulk of past episodes. Each one a delight. You get to hear Mark's voice for a full 60 minutes. And it's great. You can do fun fake commercials, which I thought was very, very cute and great. And if you haven't listened to it, now's your chance. If you're hearing this for the first time, first you've heard of this podcast, stop the podcast right now, go back and listen to all the episodes, then resume this podcast.
Well, I appreciate that plug, Stephen. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make it harder for your listeners to find my podcast because I'm so enamored by that nickname you came up with me. I'm going to change my podcast name to Sweet Muffin.
Well, Google Sweet Muffin Podcast and you get it wherever your podcasts are sold.
Oh, Stephen, I'm happy to be here. This is our second episode together, and I didn't know if it would happen. I thought we were a one and done type of relationship.
Yeah. Well, my ultimate goal was to get on Making Friends with Mark McGark, the podcast, so we could have had a home and away podcast, a series of podcasts where I was on your podcast and you were on my podcast, but unfortunately, it didn't happen yet, so I had to bring you back to get you back on the mic.
Don't you count your eggs before they hatch, buddy?
No, I've said to you that it would be great to do it live. So I am gonna come to the big city to do my episode of Making Friends. So
we're gonna rent out MSG.
It's on me. Yeah,
we're gonna sell it out.
We're gonna sell it. It'll be the first live. It'll be the first and only live podcast, and it'll sell out MSG.
We're gonna be nice though. It's not gonna be Mark McGark, his podcast. You and me, we're gonna co-headline.
First hour, Friends of the Show set. Then Fish plays a quick set, and then
that's the other thing is we're gonna do it within the next 3 days for New Year's.
We're gonna do our famous. I
know you got a little thing lined up here. I know you think you're going to perform for Madison Square Garden on New Year's Eve, but guess what? It's podcasting time, baby.
We got sweet openers. We got Sweet Muffin opener. Friends of the Show closers. So that's lovely. So everybody get your tickets now. We'll be at Madison Square Garden.
They will. Oh wait, when is this airing?
December 31st, 2018. When is this airing? This is going to be the final episode from our holiday spectacular holiday series. So, first episode dropped Christmas Eve. Second episode dropped after that. Third episode after that one, and then this will be the last episode. So it will have dropped the last after those other ones.
I love the way you're dropping them. Am I the first one that you're talking to since your Christmas episode has aired?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Stephen, it was so good.
Oh, thanks.
I'm not just buttering you up. This episode that you did with Jess, I found it to be such a wonderful listening experience.
Well, thanks, Mark. It was fun.
You two old chums chatting it up. doing the clip show, listening to your friends. It was just warmed my heart. It warmed me
I'm
all over.
I'm glad that you enjoyed it. It was really great. Yeah, catching up to Jess because it had been so long since I spoke to her. Similarly to you, because you were like some of the first episodes. Jess was the first episode. Yeah, and that happened like months before it even got released. So that was like even further back. That was like well over a year. It's the halcyon days back
Some days.
where I
Yeah,
was just a
because you're a planner.
young child.
You knocked out like a dozen episodes before the first one even aired because you wanted to have something in your pocket ready to go.
You know, Mark, and I really needed that, and I almost made it a full year with a release every week. Just took a 2 week break near the end of the run, and I needed that, but I almost did. But we did 50 episodes in the year, so
Marching up the
almost
chart.
my goal. So this will put me over my original goal of 52. So these 4 episodes will put me over the mark, right under the wire of 2018.
Final minutes.
Just tiptoeing in. So we
Hey,
did
that's a
it.
dramatic story arc. This could be a movie.
Yeah, one day it will
What
be a
would play
movie.
Skinner, Stephen W. Skinner, in the movie was that already has the built-in dramatic finale of you getting the last episodes in
Oh
just
wow,
before the ball
that's
drops.
the big the climactic action of the movie.
You know who I'm seeing? A little fella called Channing Tatum.
You think he has the range to pull it
He
off?
would be so lucky to play that part. I'm telling you.
Well, the physique is there.
Yes. Yeah, a couple more weeks in the gym for him. He'll get to you. He'll get to where you are.
Yeah, I'll help him out.
Yeah,
I'll
give him
send
some
my
advice.
guy to train with him. All right, so let's get into you. Like, what have you been up to since we last spoke? You still writing jokes on Twitter?
Hey, that's not going to go away. That seems to be some kind of compulsion that I cannot do away with no matter what. So, yeah, dependably, you can still log into oldtwitter.com, find me slaving away, trying to come up with something for attention. Sometimes it works, and then that feels good. But you
You
know what I'm doing that I'm really excited about? Ooh, I'm really happy to share this with you.
what is it? Yeah,
I have enrolled in a class at the Upright Citizens Brigade,
the
colloquially
UCB.
known as UCB. Yeah, that's right, here in New York City. And they're going to teach me, little old me, they're going to show me how to write some sketches.
Oh, here we go. We're gonna get sketches from the twisted mind of Mark McGark.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because I'm kind of tired of writing just little tiny nuggets. And
Yes.
I want to flesh it out.
Yeah.
I
You
want
wanna?
to see what's in there. I want to, get down a quarter of a page, a third of a page of dialogue.
Yeah. Way
Uh,
more than 280.
at least 285.
Yeah.
285
Yeah.
characters.
We're talking 280 plus here.
And
Things
when I
that
say
you
characters,
can't
I don't
even
mean
imagine on
letters.
Twitter.
I mean, characters gnawing on the landscape, like Pistol Pete and Steven. I can't think of any other
That's
character.
okay. You haven't taken the class yet, and
Oh, okay.
that's okay. Well, that's very exciting, and I look forward to seeing what kind of crazy sketches you come up with, and you'll be able to recruit all your hilarious New York friends to star in your crazy sketches. That'll
I
be
really think
great.
it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's really great.
Yeah.
Cool. So you're gonna get paid to write these sketches. I'm gonna start buying the sketches from you,
Oh, that's so nice.
just and hoarding them.
You can be my first bidder, Steven.
I'm gonna do the JD Salinger thing where I'm gonna put them in a vault to be released, far in the future.
Now, in this vault,
Yeah.
what else do we have in there? Any dirty secrets of yours that you? Because I'm assuming you're reusing a vault that you've already used in the past. You're not going to go out and
I
buy
have
a
several vaults located all in catacombs all over the world. Do not try to find them. They range in size and complexity to open.
Okay, I trust you. Stephen, thanks for asking. And also, another thing that I've been up to is it's Christmas time. And I had the pleasure of spending a lovely week with my family. in Florida. And then with my girlfriend's family, who is Kara Weinberger, at Kara Weinberger, who just, by the way, today she had a piece published in the New Yorker.
Oh my! Wow, what a power couple.
Her piece is called Sherlock Holmes, about a female Sherlock Holmes type dealing with, the problems that come with being a female in the patriarchal world we live in.
Oh wow, some biting satire.
It's good. It's really funny. It's laugh out loud funny.
Yeah,
So,
everyone go
look
check
that
it
up.
out.
If any listeners look it up, I think you'll enjoy it.
Listeners, look it up.
I got
And
to spend time with her family.
Yeah, cool.
They rented an Airbnb in Virginia, and we just sort of took a break.
Oh, that's nice. You got some relaxation, some R&R?
That's right. Both of the R's, we got them in.
Oh, that's great. It's Airbnbs. I've never done it. Did it work out?
Yeah, it's we got an entire 2-story house on like a small little farmland in Charlottesville, Virginia, by UVA.
Cool.
It was beautiful. It was like rolling hills and golden grains and green grasses, everything you could wish for. It was there.
Oh, that's great. Sweet Virginia, Mountain Mama. Right? Was that playing all the time?
That's the other Virginia.
Oh, sorry.
West Virginia.
Oh, I forgot there was multiple Virginias.
Normal Virginia.
Uh-oh. Yes, Virginia, you got the wrong one.
John Denver, please don't listen to this.
Don't take that plane, John Denver.
Oh, no.
Well, okay, so now I think we're all caught up. What do you think, Mark?
Well, what about you? I want to know what you've been doing with your time.
Oh, yeah. What have I been doing? I've been doing tweets on Twitter.
Yeah, you have.
Been
you
still
had a
doing
viral.
I had a viral. My first viral. You've gone viral many times, Mark. What's it? Tell me what it's like.
Don't turn this around on me.
Well, it was interesting, right? So you get a lot more interactions. You get some fun notifications. You're like, oh, that's nice. This person liked it. Oh, cool. Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, did you get some celebrities liking your tweet?
I mean, I guess a certain level of celebrity where I had to look up who it was.
Or you saw a name and you're like, oh, wait, I think I recognize that name.
Yeah.
Who?
Name, yeah, exactly. Name came up, and I was happy to find out what they had done and were working on, and was like, "Oh, that's very nice." So that part was fun.
So the tweet we're talking about is the one where you did a little parallel between Aquaman and Mary Poppins.
Yeah, it's Time Magazine reported that Aquaman defeated Mary Poppins.
What was your cute little comment, Steven?
It was like, it must have been a hell of a battle, though. And yeah, so people seem to enjoy it. And you know what, Mark? I enjoy that they enjoy it. That's what we're out here for.
Hey, I'm happy for you. It's a good feeling when people like what you're turning out.
It's good. And you've been turning out that good stuff, all the good content. One thing I liked of yours recently was that Twitter masterclass video you did. You've broken out into multimedia.
Thanks. That was fun to do.
That's kind of like a sketch, right? That was like a Markedly sketch. Is that the first Markedly sketch? Yeah.
It just kind of wrote itself. It's like a masterclass. I saw a couple of masterclass previews. I've never actually seen the real thing, but they all kind of take themselves very seriously, and they have this dramatic music playing in the background, and it's just sort of like quick cuts of what the master is trying to teach you. So it seemed rife for parody, and it just kind of wrote itself. So I filmed it, and it was fun. I put it out there, and people enjoyed it.
And I am one of those people, and it was great. Yeah, because I've seen those masterclass trailers. We've all seen them. Was it Steve Martin teaches comedy? Scorsese teaches directing.
Right.
What's it? Mamet teaches play writing or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's all very serious. Quick cuts and them talking seriously about the subject.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I'm very uncomfortable talking about it, so let's move on.
All right, so let's get into the clips. We are here to discuss some of our favorite clips of Friends of the Show. Remember that podcast?
That's a good podcast.
It's a podcast. It's got Twitter friends on it, and these are clips from some of those shows. Now, the first clip It's from our friend, Kellen.
Kellen!
Kellen Schneider. I'm talking about at Captain Calvis. Remember him?
I think a few people remember Kellen.
Gotta remember him because he's got that silky sweet voice. We're gonna be able to hear that in a moment. But that when I heard his voice for the first time, it was like when I heard your voice, I was like, what? What kind of? Where did this come? Who incubated this voice?
Some voices give you the shivers. They give you a little tremor down under.
It's like ASMR, but just from him talking. I don't know why he should have a plethora of voice acting credits by now, because he's moved to LA. He's hit the big time. He's a huge deal now.
He's churning out the content. He's getting the likes.
He's getting the likes. He's doing he's doing the work out there. Yeah, he's gainfully employed, doing what he loves. I mean, he's a true dream come true story. And he talked about it a little bit on the podcast, how he was planning on moving. This was pre-move to LA. So yeah, I'm talking Kellen Schneider, Captain Calvis. Now let's listen to the clip.
Yeah, it is the short hair period. It's I transitioned out of the long hair period of my life, which we all go through, of course. And then now I'm in the short hair period, which honestly has nothing to do with the move and just everything to do with I got a bad haircut and decided to start over.
Oh, is that what happened? Because I wasn't sure. I'd always known you as long hair guy because you had longer hair, sort of.
I did.
Just past shoulder length, I'd say, right? Is that?
Yeah, that's true. That's correct.
That's
I had shoulder length hair.
Yeah.
I went into the salon or barber shop or whatever it was, whatever you'd like to call it. And I said I would like half an inch off, and they took 2.5 inches off, which brought it up to the length of like a child actress from the 90s,
right,
with that wore overalls and striped shirts. Like that's the length of hair that I had. I'm a 21-year-old who loves to write, loves making comedy, meeting people, and I'm about to move out to LA and hope to do that on a more professional scale. It's going to take some time.
I think you're going to do it. I'm looking through your article titles right now, so let's name some, like 5 balding celebrities who are strong now, 6 pranks I pulled on my grandma I do not regret, and 1 I do.
A fun story about that one, I got chewed out a fair amount for that one. Not by anyone at Funny or Die. The people at Funny or Die are amazing. If you guys don't check out their stuff, you totally should. That's a plug for Funny or Die. Great people over there, but their fan base apparently has decided it is off limits to make fun of grandma. So,
oh yeah, that one's more than half die.
Yeah, they got angry. You should check out the comments on that when you have time because it's really funny.
I will definitely check it out, and all the listeners should too. Like I said, link in the show notes, KellenSchneider.com for all your Kellen Schneider needs. KellenSchneider.com for all your Kellen Schneider needs, Mark.
Does that still exist? I'm going to look that up.
Oh, everyone, should be on KellenSchneider.com. I'm sure there's a ton more stuff up there now than there was. I might
have put it wrong. I think I put the E before the I. Is that wrong?
That is tricky. It is tricky. That I before E rule.
Oh, it's not the first time I've said that. Well, I'm glad that you played that clip because I had kind of forgotten that this guy, Kellen Schneider, he evolved so quickly. I had forgotten that he had been writing all those articles and putting them on Funny or Die because right now I think of him primarily as a guy who creates his own videos. Because that's what he's been doing.
Now,
and he's had a lot of success. He just does these really funny. There's something about the way he moves.
That sounds like a song.
Yeah. Well, that song was written about Kellen Schneider. He does these little tiny dances in these short videos, and then he sings in this funny voice that is also sounds trained. Sort of like he could be Pavarotti if he wanted to, but he's decided to use his instrument for humor.
Yes. Yeah. He has. It seems like he's classically trained.
Exactly. So
okay, hold on. Let me play this clip.
Have it.
Baby girl, what's your name?
That was his tweet, and the caption was LMAO almost got evicted because of this.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, I had that earwormed in my head for like days after I heard that. So
that was one of those that I looked at it and I was like, I don't want to like this, but I can't help it. It really just got into me and it gave me a giggle fit.
You know what? It ticks all the boxes, and yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's not crazy to me because we were in on the ground floor. We knew about Kellen before everybody, before it was cool. But yeah, now he's very popular, and his stuff is funnier than ever. He's really sharpened it out there. He's got a good crew of folks, of like creative folks that he's always hanging around. Like they have the group there, and they're all great.
It's all about networking, Stephen.
I
You
guess
got to know
so.
the right people.
Well, I didn't know some of the people like I've met or found out about through Kellen, like Gracie Who's like she's great, and I found out about her from Kellen. So shout out to Kellen. That's what we're saying. Friend of the show. If you're listening, keep it up, buddy. You're doing great.
If I can just be earnest, I really believe that kid is going to make it. I think he's proving his worth, and I think he's got some talent. I think he's doing the right things. I wouldn't be surprised if in a year or two he was the next Indiana Jones.
Whoa.
I'm going to put it out right here.
Is it because of the snakes thing? Like he hates snakes?
Well, God, it couldn't line up more perfectly.
Yeah, it works out. All right, so that was Captain Calvis. You got to go back and listen to his episode. He tells a great tale about living abroad and drinking and the crazy antics that those things cause. Yeah, that was really fun talking to Cal, and great. So now let's keep this show rolling and get to the next clip. And it is from our friend Malt Skull. Oh, this is another international guest. I'm talking about Finland. Ever heard of it?
I think I've heard of Finland.
Yeah, well, that's where this guy's from, and it was really cool talking to him. He has that great accent, the malt accent, I call it, and yeah, he had fun stories to share about the standard military service that you have to do if you're from Finland, which was interesting. You've done military service, right? So you can kind of relate to that.
Sort of, but I think it's a different game in Finland.
How so?
Well, it's compulsory, right? So you don't have a choice.
Yeah, I guess that is true. That is a very key difference. So you had to go sign up.
Not known as the giant military industry that America is.
Right. Yeah. You had to go sign up, and they like signed him up. Like
Exactly.
His name was already on the roster from when he was born. They just had to go pick him up. All right. Well, let's listen to the clip.
Somewhere in eastern Finland, and we were like away from the campsite. We had all our gear with us, and I can't remember what exactly we were doing, but anyway, I saw these like trenches or pits around, so I thought I'd like take cover just as a joke, because we weren't doing anything special, just hanging around. So I jumped in one of those pits, and I thought I'd camouflage myself a bit, and took some moss off the wall of the pit and put it in my helmet. And then I can't remember if anybody even like reacted to that, but I started to look at my surroundings a bit more, and I saw that moss wasn't really growing anywhere else outside of that pit. And then started to think about it, and I realized that particular area gets used in those exercises quite a lot, but the campsites always change too. So I probably jumped into some old latrine pit that the medics had.
That's what it was.
If you're listening to this, you're awesome.
Snake Peek. She wants to know all the dangers in your sexiest accent.
One, there's just so many snakes here. Two, watch out for Gary. I don't know. That's all I have.
Gary?
Gary is this weird guy who also lives on the peak.
That was so funny. That snake part. where he did his snake voice. So that was Malt.
Watch out for Gary.
Yeah, that was him riffing. that Gary riff was so funny. When I was listening back, I was like, I forgot about this Gary part. Watch out for Gary. Like, okay.
Oh man, I love that guy. He's
Yeah.
so off the wall.
Yeah, he's off the wall and absurd. And oh, the way the water flowed under the snow. Some of his tweets are so good. You got to check him out at malt_skull. He is from Finland.
It's really taking a risk there, Stephen, picking the clip of him telling the story of maybe rolling around in the latrine fluid and solids.
Yeah.
This is a way we're going to remember him now forever.
Yeah, that was my favorite part. That's the part that really stuck with me and the part that I always tell everybody. Remember him? He jumped in a latrine? Yeah.
Yeah, you know Malt Skull.
Remember that?
You know, loves latrines.
Latrine?
Roll around in mossy, questionable moss.
Yeah, questionable moss. Why is it only growing in this one area? You got things you got to think about when you jump into a pit.
He's a cool guy, though, and I think that tells you a lot about his personality. That, I love the quote. We weren't doing anything official.
Yeah.
That's just like an absurd thing to throw out there. Like, I guess we're not on any real mission. Why don't I jump in this pit and roll around for the amusement of the other fellas?
Yeah, I guess that's true. He was doing it. It was it was entertainment, right? He was the entertainment brigade.
Yeah, we need these people. He's the kind of guy that gives us all a laugh and a sigh of relief. We like Malt Skull.
We like Malt Skull, and you'll like him too. Definitely go check him out on Twitter and look for that water flowed under the snow tweet. You'll be pleasantly surprised.
One of my favorites of all time.
One of my all-time favorites too. And yeah, shout out to Malt. He's the best. If you're listening, how's it going in Finland? Let us know at FOTS Pod on Twitter. All right, so I think we can keep this podcast a moving.
Keep it rolling.
Is the pace good with you, Mark? Are we?
This pace is exactly where it needs to be.
Beauty. Now, this next clip is from one of our faves. We say that about everyone, but this one for sure. I'm talking about Sarah Joy Shockey, and it's no Shockey that she is a joy.
I see what you did.
She's great. She's so funny and clever and artistic. Oh, her little drawing stories. Oh, they're so good and heartbreaking. We talked about that on her episode, so got to go back and listen to that if you haven't heard about her Chuppy character she created and all the condiment characters in her Chuppy verse. Oh, she's so good, Mark.
Let's hear her.
Oh, let's hear the clip.
I decided to just go for a sad walk. I really felt like I was going through like a romantic breakup, but just career-wise. And, I've had this string of day jobs for as long as I've been of working age. So I decided I'm going to go like stand on a bridge downtown and just be sad because I like being sad by the water.
Okay.
Like there was a time a couple years before where I'd like just gotten out of a relationship and I really liked this guy and I asked him out on GChat and he very politely was like, no. And so I went to like the docks and I was like sitting at the edge of the dock, like crying gently. And I was like, this is perfect. Like I like being dramatic like that. So I was going to pull that old bullshit. And so I go to the bridge and I'm like leaning on it and like kind of working up some tears, but it's my lunch break. So I have to like time it out. And all of a sudden under the bridge comes one of those tour boats where they have like a roof open and like a bunch of chairs. And a friend of mine is giving the tour and she goes, hey, everybody, that's my friend Sarah Shockey. Let's all wave. And everybody waves and is like, hi, Sarah.
Oh, my God.
Like, well, there goes that. I can't have a sad day now because a boat full of strangers just cheerfully waved at me like I was the greatest person they'd ever happened to see downtown.
Sarah, how can you stay sad when a boat full of strangers waves at you?
That story, oh man, Stephen, you picked the perfect story to illustrate Sarah Shockey because, well, first of all, she is expert at understanding and outlining the human condition in a way that is just like full of love and life and understanding for how it is. But I think one of the problems that she probably goes through a lot in life is that she may just be so talented and lovely that she sabotages herself. If she's trying to go cry on a dock, have a real emotional experience, and yet at that very moment, because of the love that she's put out into the world, all of these people on the boat see her, recognize her, and they're like, "Oh, that's that big ray, that bright ray of sunshine, Sarah Shockey. Let's all say hi to her." Little knowing that they're taking away from her one lunch break moment of sadness that she was granting herself.
Yeah, Mark, I think that is perfect. That is the perfect explanation. It's the karma factor, right? She's sowed these seeds, and now, yeah, it was. I thought it was so funny that she was like trying to be dramatic and sad. You know, like she gets it, like she understands. You know, we got to be sad sometimes. So what better way than to go to a bridge and just weep? But too bad, Sarah, you're too lovely, so everyone loves you. So they're gonna have a boat full of people wave to you in your sad moment.
That's right. We're going to cheer you up, Sarah, whether you're ready for it or not.
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool story too. So shout out to Sarah. You got to go check her out and all of her work, her podcast. Marty and Sarah watch wrestling. They love wrestling. They love wrestling. They watch it, but they do. Watch
She's a fellow podcaster.
She's a podcaster. Yeah, she's got a great voice. She's her energy was off the charts. One of those high energy people, and it was so enjoyable talking to her.
She does it all. She's another one that if you don't know her, you should get in on her right now because she is going to blast off like a rocket.
Yeah, she's just bubbling under the surface right now, but it's like, yeah, you can tell. It's one of those people like Kellen, etc., who's you just can't be contained, right? She's too good, too creative.
Too good for this world.
Too good. All my favorites. Like I mentioned briefly, her little vignettes, her stories, like her hand drawn, colored in, artful on like little what are they cards?
Like index cards. I want to say
cards. Yeah, if you have to write a speech in grade 7 or whatever, you got to get those index cards.
3x5s, and I'm going to be completely honest. I have watched more than one of those and shed more than one tear while watching them.
Mark, that's exactly right. With the message that I wanted to let the listeners know, you're going to feel feelings.
You're going to feel feelings. And I don't cry when I'm sad. I only cry when people are nicer than they need to be.
Oh, wow.
That gets me.
Well, if you're got like that, you're going to get got by reading Sarah's stuff. So go get got right now. Watch her little vignettes, and yeah, maybe shed a tear or two at your desk quietly. Just feel the feelings. Unless a boat full of people comes by.
Do not go to a pier to watch these.
Yeah, do not do it on a bridge, on a Chicago bridge. Well, speaking of Chicago bridges, the next guest is Dave Cactus. You know, Dave.
Deep dish Chicago style pizza.
He is Twitter's own deep dish cactus based pizza. He is great. It was so nice to talk to Dave. I believe you talked to Dave first. You snagged him.
Did I to Dave?
You know, you did, because the thing was he refused to come on Friends of the Show until he had fulfilled his obligation to his good friend Mark and appeared on Making Friends with Mark McGark.
Are you serious?
I'm deadly serious. He would not schedule with me until he was done with you, and you know what? I appreciate that.
Wow.
I think he made his commitment to you first, so you know you got to honor that. And he's an honorable guy. Everyone needs
so
to know
modest.
this.
He would never have told me that.
Oh yeah, modest. He's one of those modest guys. What about those guys? You're one of those guys, aren't you, Mark?
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, so Dave Cactus, let's listen to the clip. Classic cars. You love them. You drive them. Tell us about it.
Well, I've currently got a 1969 Mercury Montego and a 1987 Cadillac Brougham.
Ooh.
Over my life, I've had about 40 classic cars.
Damn.
I know.
That's a lot of classic cars. Yikes. Like MC Hammer money.
Yeah. Much like MC Hammer, it's all spent, gone.
It's just parachute pants and Cadillacs in the house.
I'd love to keep meeting people from Twitter as long as my copious amounts of spare cash and free time keep on flowing. But other than that, I have to work most of the time. It
Right.
kind of makes it difficult.
Yeah, you can't be doing it every single weekend, but seems like you're getting out there. You're getting out there pretty consistently and meeting some very cool folks.
Yeah, I like to meet people from all walks of life, and hopefully there's a New York trip in my future.
Oh, there's a lot of great ones out there. A lot of great folks out there to meet.
A lot of these folks from Ontario could probably just come right over and say hello.
Just dip right down into the Trump hellscape and say hi.
I have to say, I love Mark too.
You love Mark. We all love Mark. Mark, we love you. Thank you so much for sending in the questions. Really appreciate it. And like I said, you gotta check out the podcast, Making Friends with Mark McGark. Check it out on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. Check it out, Mark. Check it out. Had to sneak that extra plug in via a Dave Cactus clip.
Oh, I don't appreciate that at all.
It was
You took away
sneaky.
from valuable David Cactus time.
No, that was important. Everyone needs to go and check out Dave's episode of Making Friends. Right?
You robbed me of my favorite part of that episode that you had with Dave.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, that was just a tease. These are just meant to pique your interest so that you go back and listen to the full episodes.
Okay.
And
Well,
then,
what
and
I'm
then
talking about-
Tell them, yeah. Tell them.
Yeah, we'll definitely check out the full episode. Just like with Sarah, spending an hour listening to Dave talk is life affirming. It'll probably change the course of your life, and maybe you'll join a monastery. Maybe you'll abandon all your possessions and go out in service of your fellow man. That's just the kind of influence that Dave Cactus has. But my favorite part of that episode, personally, and this probably applies only to me, is I sent in a question and I asked him, because he goes by the name Dave Cactus, so I think Cactus, that's probably not his real last name. I asked him, what is your real last name, Dave? And do you remember what he said?
No.
He said, my real last name is McGark.
Oh, he got
got
you.
me.
He got you.
He got me.
You got again, McGark.
I was on the subway, a crowded subway, listening to that on my earbuds, and I spit with laughter. Literally, spit flew out of my mouth. Maybe it hit other customers or passengers on the train. I hope not. But it was one of those uncontrollable moments where your body just expresses your joy in a way that is maybe not socially acceptable.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, you had a reaction. You weren't expecting it. It was the twist that got you.
It's a twist.
Wow. Great job, Dave. So yeah, everyone's got to go check out his episode and also his episode of Making Friends for 2 hearty hours of good Dave Cactus stories. He's got so many stories. He's so interesting. Such a crazy, interesting life he's had. Like that classic having owned 40 classic cars is one of the least interesting parts of the episode. So
Yeah, he just sort of tossed it out there.
he just
like, oh, it's
tosses
nothing.
these tidbits out, and you're like, "What? That could be like a full podcast episode just talking about this tangent." Like how
I
there's
firmly believe you could have a full NBC sitcom for 6 seasons of Dave Cactus stories.
6 seasons and a movie.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, like he's a part of a mural in his town. Like, how does that happen?
Part of a mural.
He's just a gigantic mural. Yeah. And anyway, so yeah, Dave Cactus, great guy. R.I.P. the sign.
Yeah, he switched jobs. He can't put tweets on the sign anymore.
He used to.
But when he came to New York City, which was really nice of him, he came, I think, to see a Yankees game, and then he also hung out with me for a little bit, and he gave me a gift of a framed picture of my tweet on his sign.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and he put a heartfelt inscription on the bottom. This is just the kind of guy that Dave Cactus is.
Incredibly sweet. What a nice gesture. Very incredibly thoughtful. Yeah, not enough good things to say about one of the great friends of the show, Dave Cactus. Check him out at Dave_Cactus. So good.
Oh, and if I may, if you listen to my episode with him, you can find out how many quarters he can fit up his nose.
Yeah, that was I was shocked to find out. So you'll be just as shocked. Go listen.
But listen to Steven's episode first.
Oh, but that would be reversely chronological.
All right, listen whatever order, but you, Garrett, listen. If you listen to one episode, you got to listen to both.
You got to listen
and
to
you have
both,
to listen
yeah.
to at least one. So you're in for both. All right. We're going to send out contracts in the mail.
In for a penny and for a pound. If you're listening, you've already agreed tacitly. All right, well, let's expect those in the mail. All right, Mark, what do you think? We keep going?
Let's keep it rolling, Steven.
Let's keep the podcast moving, and our next clip comes from Blaine Capatch. Now, you probably don't know Blaine Capatch as well.
I don't personally know Blaine Capatch,
but you know of him.
I know of him.
Yeah, that's generally the vibe. So, Blaine, like one of my Twitter pals. So I was just like, maybe I'll see if Blaine Capatch will come on the podcast. And I was
this is one when it
surprised.
showed up in my feed. Blaine Capatch. I was like, holy shit! Steven knows this world-renowned comedian, Blaine Capatch, and he can just chat with him and have an hour-long conversation. This is to your credit, Steven.
Thank you, Mark. I was very excited. You know those things where you're like, what does it hurt to take a risk? Maybe ask him, and maybe he doesn't reply, or if he does, that would be great. So yeah, I was really nervous to like reach out, but then once I did, and he was like, yeah, sure. I was like, oh, okay, this is good. This is gonna be good, and it was good. It was so fun talking to him. He was incredibly like nice and generous with his time, and all his stories were nuts. Like there's some name drops in the clip, but the name drops in the episode are tenfold to what it is in the clip. So you gotta check out his episode. Like you're saying, like a legendary guy. Hosted Beat the Geeks. Like he's been around. Like helped. He's like Patton Oswalt's good friend, he's a legendary kind of guy. So it was very.
You guys seems like just good old friends chatting it up after a few months of not seeing each other.
You know what? It seemed that he was very nice and easy to talk to. So that was good. Because I was a little bit worried. You never know going into these things whether you're gonna get someone very stodgy or someone very nice. And luckily, Blaine was the latter. Here we go. Here's the clip from Blaine Capatch.
There was one day when Little Richard was one of the guests. I was like, fuck this. I'm going to get down and watch Little Richard rehearse. So I went down and I sat like in the front row. And there's Little Richard in his big grand piano, and he's running through this medley of stuff with his band. And in his band was Billy Preston. He's got Billy Preston on this big Hammond B3 organ, this fifth Beatle dude sitting right there. And Little Richard's kind of running stuff, and the drummer was for shit. He was being very polite to the drummer, but you can tell the drummer got really fired. But I remember during the rehearsal, Little Richard was wearing Beatle boots that were black velvet and diamond stripes. It would be like an inch of black velvet and then an inch of diamonds and an inch of black velvet, an inch of diamonds. It's like, holy shit, those fucking Beatle boots, look at those boots. There's Billy Preston like wiping his hands over the B3, and it sounds insane. And then for the show, Steven, full diamond Beatle boots. Get rid of the full diamond Beatle boots.
Those are the practice Beatle boots only.
Yeah. I got my practice boots on. I just remembered this, sorry. We had B. Arthur on the show, on the Martin Short show. And we were doing a thing where she was getting a Tony Award for, I think, Mame. I forget what she was in that she didn't get the Tony for, that she got robbed for a Tony. So we were going to do a thing where she finally gets this Tony Award. And they go, okay, we're going to put you, meaning me, we're going to dress you like her boy toy. Put me in a wig and a tuxedo, and they're going to plant me in the crowd with B. Arthur. And then when she gets her name called, they're going to cut to me. And then they wanted me and B to just full on French, start making out and everything. And then I will walk her down to the podium and she would do her bit. So we're running over the bit with B, and B goes, no kiss. Okay, fine. Sure, okay. I understand that.
No kiss. That's how I always remember B. Arthur. So those are some good name drops, I thought.
Yeah, when you start with Little Richard and you still can go upward from there to be Arthur, you've had a storied career.
Yeah, you've had a storied career, and that was just like he just thought of that tangent, mid Little Richard story.
Oh, we just thought of something.
Oh, yeah, just
As
remember.
telling a story about Little Richard's diamond encrusted boots.
Yeah. So that episode was nuts. So it was just I was just sort of like, tell me more, Blaine Capatch. Tell me more. Like, what other stories do you have? So it was a great one. You got to go back and listen to that to get all the extra stories and all the other name drops from that one. And I guess check out Blaine Capatch on Twitter at Blaine Capatch. He is out there mixing it up. He's doing it.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think we even follow each other on Twitter, but I know of him, and I really enjoyed that episode. It was kind of like an episode of WTF or You Made a Weird, where it's, an established comedian and a confident host, and you're just sort of recounting the stories and getting the inside information of what it's actually like to be in what I call the biz.
In the biz.
B-I-Z. Have you heard this expression before?
Only people in the biz know it.
The business of show. It was a really good episode. And like I said, unexpected, but pays off, rewarding.
Yeah, thank you. And I hope that the listeners will go back and check that one out, because I'm not sure if you didn't know who it was, if maybe you didn't listen to it on the first go, but definitely worth going back and checking that one out, because like you said, storied career, and all the stuff, all of his stories were nuts. Like that whole time I was just like, huh, what? Crazy stuff from Blaine. And you can check him out, and you can go watch old episodes of Beat the Geek, maybe on Comedy Central on demand or something.
Maybe.
So that was fun. I remember I did a question that was in the episode. I did a question that was like a clip of him from the show asking a question. It was like he was asking himself a question. I thought that was quite clever. So if everyone's hasn't heard that episode, go back and listen for that part where I was like, you asked yourself a question.
Oh, Steven.
That was fun. It was fun, and that's what we're here for. We're having good times. All right, Mark, let's keep it going.
Let's keep it going.
The next clip is from Phil Stamato. Wow. And Phil was very nice to come on to the podcast at P. Stamato. You can check him out on Twitter. He knows Latin, and let's hear about that right now.
I studied Latin when I was in high school, and I got really into Latin and Greek while I was in there because I had a really amazing teacher. Because he was too good of a teacher, I then spent an entire decade studying Latin and Greek.
Wow, that is a really good teacher.
Yeah, really effectively good teacher. So I ended up getting I used to come home every single day from school and regale my parents with stories that I had learned from my teacher, Mr. Highland. Shout out, Mr. Highland.
Shout out.
And I would just tell them stories, and they were like, you should pursue this as far as you can. And the only career options for Latin really are teacher, which makes sense. You can't really be an emperor anymore, but not in any official sense,
Yeah, and it's not something emperor isn't something you can really work your way up to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just far too competitive these days. So I wanted to be
Latin.
a teacher. How was that?
So you love Latin.
I love Latin. And so I wanted to be a teacher. I go to college. I love Latin even more in college. I got really sucked into this thing for a while called Neo-Latin. And there's a whole community on the internet of people who write and speak Latin with each other, like a more modernized version of it, so it has modern words. And if you were to go on YouTube and look up Philippus Noster, I have a couple of ukulele songs I translated into Latin.
Okay. So you were part of this Neo movement here?
Yeah,
You got into it?
And there's kind of a guy who was one of my favorite bloggers in Latin to follow. His name was Nemo Udes, which means nobody in Latin and Greek.
Whoa, deep.
Yeah.
Do you like Latin, Mark?
I wish I knew Latin because it feels like it would unlock so many secrets of language for me if I did.
I think that's true. Yeah, it's the building blocks of language. Yeah, so he knew a lot about Latin, and he had written. He was just about to say he had written some songs in this Neo-Latin, so like a spoken new kind of version of Latin. Yeah, and it was very interesting to learn about that and learn about all of his schoolings that he has done. I'm like, oh, you were very learned. Love
He
to-
is very
to speak-
learned. I
yes.
met him once, and he's not lying. He had a book tucked under his arm when I met him, and it was written completely in Latin. I think it was by Virgil, or one of the famous, Latin writers. And he would just spend time at the bar, flipping between socializing with his friends, and then when he got little breaks from that, he'd flip open the Virgil book and read through it. And I think he even recited a little incantation in Latin when I met him. So he's the real deal.
That is the real deal. He talks it like he walks it, or whatever that saying was.
We'll ask him what this. I bet he knows
Yeah,
it.
if send me that saying in Latin, whatever the Virgil version is. Peace D'Amato. Wow.
I'm gonna meet him for coffee tomorrow. We set up a coffee date.
No way.
Yeah, because we both live in New York. I think he lives like way up in Upper Manhattan, and I live in Brooklyn. So we're gonna meet somewhere in Manhattan. And listening to that clip got me thinking. He said that he had a teacher of Latin that was so good that he spent the following decade studying Latin.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking, when we have our little coffee date tomorrow, how can I be so influential that I get him to study a decade of something that I'm interested in?
Maybe the coffee is so good he spends 10 years becoming a barista or something.
So let's see what path I can direct him on. I'll keep you up.
Keep me posted on how you twist and turn his life with your mentorship. It'll be very exciting to see. Yeah, that was crazy. So I mean, that must have been a really good teacher.
No kidding.
Shout out to the teachers.
Go teachers. Generally.
Yeah, teachers in general. Shout out. If you're listening and you're a teacher, I'm proud of you.
Proud of you. Yeah.
All right. So the next clip, we got a couple more clips here. We're at the light. We can see the light at the end of the podcast.
Oh, but I'm having so much fun. I want this to go on forever.
Mark, I get it. That's what everyone says when I say that there's 2 clips left. But you know what? We gotta get to bed sometime.
All right, I understand.
All right. So the next clip is "Ya Green"
Yeah,
or "Why Green." How do you say it?
you green,
"Ya Green, son."
like you burnt.
You burn.
Green.
You green. So you green, which spoiler alert is energy backwards, which he just discloses in this episode. So if you were curious as to what, it is that. And Billy was great to speak with. He's one of the good guys on Twitter. So we should listen to the clip and then discuss. When did you realize you were funny?
That part, I mean, I will take that as a compliment. Thank you, Kevin, for implicating that I am are funny. But
well, I would like to second it. So that's multiple people saying you're funny. So when did you realize it?
Probably in college more than anything else. I was a pretty quiet kid growing up. I'm still pretty quiet now, but I think in college is when I opened up a little bit socially and just became a little bit more active. And it was probably then that I developed my sense of humor more than anything else.
All right, so you started getting laughs around the dorm.
Yep, absolutely. That's it.
Do you want to give a shout out to your alma mater?
Purdue University, go Boilermakers.
Purdue. I used to have a Purdue hat. I loved the logo. So his final question from Kevin: can you teach us how to at? So I guess you're a prolific at replier.
Yeah, I should apologize to a number of people on Twitter. It's not something I do intentionally. It just kind of happens. But yeah, Kev, I don't know if that's a teachable quality. I think you either have it or you don't. I don't know.
It's instinctual at this point, right?
Yeah.
Been doing it so long.
And if I did know how to teach it, I wouldn't want to enable anyone else.
Well, we all like a good at, but we all don't like a bad at. So, there's a fine line, and it's hard to walk that sweet balance between good ats and bad. That sweet, sweet balance. Toe the line, Mark, between the bright side of nice ats and then the dark side of evil ats.
He is the master of that.
So that was Billy. It was so great talking to him. We should mention he is very in shape and handsome and was lovely to talk to.
He is an Iron Man.
An Iron Man, yes. He did a recent marathon dressed up like a pumpkin. I remember seeing that.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who's just like so cut and built and strong and healthy, but then his sense of humor still comes across when he does things like dress up as an all orange pumpkin to run a marathon.
Yeah, it's classic Billy stuff. Yeah, so he's very funny. But also incredibly fit. And so you got to check him out on Twitter at YGreen. You're green. YGRENE.
And can I say, the man has his vices. If there's one thing I know about Billy, it is that he has a soft spot for quite a few things. Among them, Peter Pan peanut butter. Quite a fan.
Yep.
And the
Beans.
big one, the one that's been sweeping across the internet like wildfire, but I think it originated with Billy Green. That's right, I'm talking about beans.
Beans. He made it popular online to talk about beans.
Listen, if you want to look Billy up at Green and click on the media tab and look through his pictures, look for the Easter eggs, because I bet in 50% of his picture he has hidden, maybe not even so inconspicuously, either a picture of Peter Pan peanut butter or Bush's baked beans in that very picture that you're looking at.
He's trolling us.
He's good at what he does.
He's good. He's so good. Yeah, he has very funny tweets and that stuff like that. His at replies are actually very funny. We're talking about his at replies in that clip, and yeah, he's one of the good at repliers. He the stuff that he adds to your joke is very funny, and like you're saying with his media, he's always doing something very funny, but like sort of secretly, you know. You're right, like in the background, something's very funny is happening. You're like, that's just a selfie, but is it? Look harder.
Look harder.
Look harder at his selfies.
Secretly incredibly goofy. More goofy than you would imagine.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he's got that absurdist, goofy slant on a seemingly normal person. It could just be like a normal Iron Man account, but guess what? It's goofy. So everyone's got to follow him. Everyone's got to check him out, retweet his tweets. Go back and listen to his episode for the rest of his fun stories. Well, Mark, stretch it out. Get it all out. We got shake it out. We got one final clip. One last clip. This will be the final clip of all clips. So thank you very much to everyone who's co-hosted. Thank you to all the friends of the show. And thank you so much for listening to this clip series of shows. This is the last of 4 clip shows, Holiday Spectacular. So I hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane. I hope you go back and...
Last one.
Yeah.
Not just for today, but for the whole year.
This is it. This is the last one of the last Friends of the Show of Series 1, I'm saying. And yeah, that's it. So maybe look for Series 2 coming sometime in the future in 2019. So don't unsubscribe to this feed yet. Keep that RSS hot and watch for new stuff coming out on this very feed in the future. Mark, it's not over. This is just the recap of Series 1.
Just a chance for us to catch our breaths.
Catch our breaths, look back and see what we've accomplished, talk about some of our favorite times that we've had on mics, and generally catch up and put a bow on this, you know? I thought it would be a nice bow. What do you think, Mark? A good bow?
I like it's a beautiful bow.
It's a beautiful bow. And I should also thank you very much for your assistance with the promo. If you haven't watched the promo trailer for this holiday special series, you should go watch it. It's up on at FOTS Pod. There's a tweet with that little clip on it, and it was fun to make. Everyone helped me out by sending a little video clips, and I threw it together in iMovie, and it was very fun. So I appreciate.
Including the wink from Mason that will rock your world.
The wink from Mason is what is the centerpiece of the whole thing, and I based everything around that. So that's like the big climactic reveal of the trailer. You gotta watch it. It's just the best. And you have some pretty sweet dance moves in the airport there, and you were the only one who filmed it in the correct landscape mode. Like it goes between portrait mode for all of us, and you had nice landscape mode. So you're a pro. We can tell that already. But just for the listeners, go and check out that promo for these episodes. Yeah. All right. So are you ready for the final clip?
Oh, I wish it didn't have to be over, but let's do it. Let's play it.
Here we go. The final clip. It is from our friend Andrew Nadeau. Andrew Nadeau 0 on Twitter. And it was great to talk to him. Do you ever meet this guy? You ever see this guy around town?
On Twitter. Hero in real life.
Real life hero. Yeah. And
yes, I met him not long ago. Like just before Christmas vacation, I met him.
Oh, what was that like? Well, let's get into it after the clip.
Sure.
Let's start with how I did Twitter, which was in large part to Kevin. His was the first contest I ever entered, where he had to write me and say, hey, you don't just respond with the tweet. You have to write the tweet and then link it.
You replied to a contest call and you tweeted in the reply.
Right. I had been there like a month, if that long.
You're learning the ropes, and he helped you.
Yeah. And actually, I wrote him when I had about 400 followers because his was growing fast, rightly so. He's so good. And said, can you give me some tips here? And he talked to me about entering contests and developing style, and was really helpful, and was a large part of the reason I got good at Twitter.
You know what? That's great, and it doesn't surprise me because Kevin was so incredibly nice when I talked to him, just like one of the nicest guys on Twitter, and clearly, in real life.
He absolutely is, and I don't know how he maintains a PG account, and it's strictly because he is so nice that's very fitting for him. But I don't really curse in real life, and originally I had a PG account, and then after can I curse on this podcast?
You may.
Okay, I figured that's worth checking. So I feel awkward every time I say this in real life, so get ready for me to feel uncomfortable, guys. But there was one tweet where it just was not funny unless I said fucked. So I put it out there, and I liked it. And after that, it was like, okay, so this isn't PG anymore. So more props.
Floodgates are open.
Well, shit. Sometimes swearing makes it funny, Mark.
Oh, God darn it. You.
This ain't your PG podcast.
That's right. We say fiddlesticks. We say the big ones. We say churl.
Churl. Is that your best? That's your best, Mark?
I'm embarrassed that that came out of my mouth. My mom is going to have a talking to of me.
You know what? It's okay. You haven't taken the UCB class yet. You'll learn all the fun fake expletives at the class.
That was a cool clip because it's like a how-to of how to succeed at Twitter.
Oh, I guess you're right. And it was nice having that the nested at of he's talking about Kevin at Pan Midwest. And isn't that nice? Friends mentioning the friends on this Friends of Show clip show. A lot of friends getting mentioned. It's great.
That's how we do it around here. We give credit to our friends.
Credit where it's due. Shout out to Kevin at Pan Midwest. Go check him out. Go listen to his old episode. Go listen to his clip on the previous clip show episodes. Yeah, what can we say? Andrew was so great to talk to. I haven't met him, but it would be nice to meet him, right?
Yeah, it is nice to meet him. I recommend it. If you have the chance, meet with Andrew.
What does he smell like?
He smells like cinnamon and roses.
That's what I was hoping. I was actually guessing something with cinnamon, so pretty close. I'd imagine you smell something like that, right? A little bit of cinnamon and maybe like rustic leather. That's what I imagined.
Like cinnamon and wet garbage.
Cinnamon and that classic New York smell of wet garbage. Well, you know what, Mark? I think we did it.
Oh, and it was fun. It's not about the destination, Stephen.
What is it about?
It's about the journey.
What? You should write that down.
And I couldn't have a better partner for this journey than you, who is actually you're the leader of this whole thing.
No, we are co-leaders.
No. I salute you. I was going to say captain. I'm going to say general. I salute you, General Stephen W. Skinner.
All right, well, at ease. No, actually, drop and give me 50 then. At ease. He's doing it. He's really doing it. So, yeah, Mark, thank you so much for being my final co-host, for being a great friend of the show, for being
final co-host.
That's exactly right. Shout out to, what was that? Europe?
I think it was the Beatles.
It was the Beatles. It was Little Richard in Beatle boots. So, Mark, thank you again so much for being just such a nice guy, coming on and being a co-host and having that silky smooth voice, being a great podcaster yourself. And I hope everyone enjoyed listening to this episode.
It's been my absolute pleasure, Stephen. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Mark. And now we end the podcast, as we always do, by playing that hit theme by Kyle Davidson, the podcast theme, friends of the show, series 1 finale. This is it, folks. Thank you so much for listening. Love up my listeners. Well, how else can I say it? This is it. So catch you on series 2, and we'll say our goodbyes.
Toodaloo.
A toodaloo to you too, Mark, and have a lovely evening.
Good night, Stephen.
And I'll see you on the internet at Markedly. That's where you are.
You there.
All right, man. This is it. Thanks, Mark.
Bye.
It's over. Okay.